Bessie Newton's Biography, Part 7. But it came the time we were supposed to, and my daughter, Rebecca Price, and her husband Lawrence were with me. I said, "Mr. Ritter, my husband was deceased." He was so surprised because he had just talked to him the beginning of the week, and he didn't know how I was going to handle the deal. I said, "Well, I bought you the $1,000. He said, "You keep that because his name is on the contract and I have to rewrite it." He said, "How are you going to handle this? Do you have a backup?" Then my son-in-law spoke up and he said, "I'll be her backup." That seemed to relieve him. So he said, "All right, I'll rewrite the contract." It's a good thing because I did not have a grave for my husband. We had talked about getting a plot, but we never did. The $1,000 that was supposed to go to open the escrow, I used that same $1,000 and got a grave to bury my husband in while I was getting it. Someone was saying, "Why don't you get a double grave so if anything happens to you, you already have your grave too?" So I borrowed a little more money from my brother in the church who was with me at the time. I went to pick out the grave and he had his money with him. So I borrowed around $200 from him and I told him, "As soon as I get back home, I'll give it back to you." I gave it back to him and I got a double grave. So everything worked out good because I don't know what I would have done. So the Lord let everything work out perfect. Another thing that stirred up Benny's heart was the fire. Before the house caught on fire, he hadn't contemplated on buying. But after the house caught on fire, he was ready to leave. It was a 2-story house. Someone set the fire. We didn't have any enemies we know of. We were all living there. The whole front burned. My daughter-in-law, Benny's wife, she was in the living room and she always sleeps sound, but something told her to get up. So she got up, and when she looked around, she said, "That's fire." When she said that, she got up and knocked on everybody's door. So then the smoke came up, so she wasn't sure who had come out or who hadn't come out. And my granddaughter was living with me too at that time. Then she went and knocked on everybody's door again to make sure they got out. Then when she was ready to get out herself, there was so much smoke up that stair. She couldn't see how to get down the steps, so she had to go to the hospital. After the fire, my husband was ready to get out. We'd been there on 23rd Street quite a while. When the firemen came, they saw papers piled up by the front door, which I didn't do. They set the fire between 11 and 12 o'clock at night. It was a mess. The firemen took time to move my things. When my husband got outside, he couldn't hardly get his breath. He said, "Oh Lord, oh Lord." And then we heard a little voice saying, "How can I get down?" It was Aisha, my daughter-in-law. She couldn't get down the stairs, so she broke the windows, and now she was on the roof. My husband couldn't tell her nothing till he got himself together. And then he said, Aisha, get over to the end and we'll get you down. She saved us all. When my husband woke me, he shook me, and we didn't know what was happening. Benny said, is the world coming to an end? I never saw so much light. The Japanese man from next door run and got his hose and started spraying, sprinkling. And my granddaughter, Linda, ran to the other neighbor and she started sprinkling. There were three houses going till the firemen. There were three hoses going till the firemen got there. The next morning, I walked around the front of that house and I said, the word of God says that all things work together for good. I can't see what good is coming out of this, but I got to take the word of God for it. And so I went on, and what came out of it, you're looking at it now. Bessie looks around at her beautiful new home. I sure couldn't see what good could come out of it, but we owe $9,000 on that place there. Now I own a condominium and don't owe a penny on it. I'm satisfied. I'm all by myself, but I'm happy and I'm satisfied. But right after the fire, I had a little time. A man said he wanted to buy the old house without us having to fix it. He said, how much do you want for it? I said, 60,000. He said, why? I can give you, he said, why? I can give you that in cash. So I opened up escrow and not a penny did he put in. I didn't know about business, but I was praying to the Lord to give me wisdom. He had mineral rights, and I forgot to say that I wanted to keep the oil rights. So he said, well, I'll let you have the oil rights till after you pass. But then they come back to me, but it was just words. It didn't work that way. I kept calling escrow and asking if he put some money in, but no. Every time I called, no money, but I kept calling Mr. Wright, and he said, oh, Mrs. Newton, I'm going to put the money in. Then I was talking to my daughter, Deborah, and she said, Mama, don't talk to him anymore about it. Get yourself a good lawyer. And she knew one. We told the lawyer everything. And then he called Mr. Knight and he said, why isn't there any money in escrow? He said, why she didn't ask for any. So the lawyer said, I'll give you 2 days to get the money in escrow. And if the money is not in at that time, we'll cancel the deal and I'll write you a letter concerning this. I was so eager to get this over with, I let him have the mineral rights. The escrow man called my daughter Rebecca and said, all the money is in. When Rebecca told me, I didn't believe it. She said, why, Mama, you don't believe the Lord can work a miracle? And we will continue next time.